Welcome back to Cultivated Live from the gummy and beverage manufacturing facility here at Planet 13. This is Krista and Jeremy. We are here with David Schwede from Heritage Cannabis.
Hello.
We're really lining up the Canadians today,
Well,
but you have a footprint larger than Canada.
I do.
Tell us about it.
So we're in Missouri, West Virginia, and now New York. Playing around in different areas, but the asset light's our approach, so we have to go in and it has to kind of fit the mold. New York's wonderful right now because it's small today and you can kind of grab it, and you're not racing like if we were to jump into California, you just need $1 bazillion to compete. So I think we'll just keep our eye on limited license or like slow starting states and throw in.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you have all these insights from Canada.
Yeah.
You then bring it into some U.S. states.
Yeah.
Where have you seen product either like be developed in the U.S. and or perform differently than what you see in Canada?
So I think we've been lucky because we had a really good, training ground. And so when we launched in Missouri, it was kind of 3 months cash flow, which was great because we've been developing great flavors in good hardware. Like we've tested the shit out of hardware. It's not like, I wonder if this will work. No, we know it's been running for 3 years. So we're not going to have the return rates and like all these mysteries that would come up on something on a new launch. So we're running the same stuff everywhere. So I think that's been a big part to dropping into new states with kind of tried, tested, and true stuff. And the launches are always really good. And I think the big thing for us is the price is way better. We've actually got programming dollars. We've actually got the ability to market. And our marketing can actually look cool and connect with people. Whereas we've been kind of hamstrung or handcuffed in Canada. So I think, it's great. It's refreshing. It makes things a little bit easier when you've got, 30, 40, 50% margins, not 12.
Mm-hmm. How do you evaluate a new market to go into? Like what's an attractive profile? New states or whatever it may be?
I think so for us specifically, it's something that we can actually compete in. So if it's too big, it's too big. We're not going to be able to go in and make an impact at all because there's just too much ground to cover. We can't focus in on a small area or a small subset of people to get deals done and get distribution. And then situations where it's not just 100% pay to play kind of thing where, hey, take my money, I hope this works out. We need to be involved. We're operators. That's what we do. So in every situation that we went into, we're teaching them something. Here, different way to formulate. Here's a different way to fill carts, or here's a different way to look at doing your packaging. And so we have to be able to participate because I think we've been refining for such a long time that we're able to be very efficient day one. And so we want to be involved with our partners and we want to provide value not only financially, but to help them with all the other things that they're going on. It builds a good, loyal relationship that they know they can rely on us going forward.
Do you think new markets are not looking enough to old markets to say this is how like a Heritage does it, we ought to mimic exactly what they're doing? Because it seems to, certainly in the retail level, the same mistakes are just constantly made and remade. Is that the same thing you're finding from a product or brand perspective?
We were having this conversation yesterday. Like, I'm very confused how there's so many different, so from a regulatory and then like a brand and distro perspective, like it's the same. If I go and start up Texas, like you'd think it'd be pretty easy. You just go and grab New York or go and grab Canada. It's literally online. You just download it and like change the names and you've got like this solid regulation and you just edit all the stuff that everyone complains about.
It's like a find and replace.
Yeah. Like
find New York, replace with Texas.
Command F.
Yeah, Control F, Texas. Right. Control, like find, replace, different state. So that part kind of confuses me because we have a model that we can come up with that is the best of everything. And every time a new state goes to open, that could be the case. So starting from scratch just kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Same said for distribution, marketing, brand, retail. You've got models that are working really, really well. So, I mean, take inspiration from them. Try to not rework everything. And so on our side, yeah, it's the same thing. We've learned what doesn't work and what does work, and you're always still learning. But the things that are working, you have to implement, and you just continue to build a foundation. It's, I guess, you're building a house. So at some point in time, the foundation's going to work. Use that everywhere. Otherwise, it's going to cost you a lot of money.
I think we're also like really biased because all of us have been in the space for a while now, and you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Like what you're essentially identifying is when you go into a new market, you don't know to ask those questions, or some of the time, specifically the regulators don't know to ask the questions, so they don't get answered. And that's like, we come at it from an incredibly biased position because we have all of those learnings, especially now that you have had the opportunity to be in multiple new markets open who have also all had pretty different regulatory structures. Like every time now you're like, well, I've seen it happen before. But if you haven't been there, or as a regulator, you don't know to ask those questions, it just is the same thing kind of over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, it's shocking that an adult in this world that, has or doesn't have children and dresses himself every day can't go, this is out there, how do I do this? Like, they should know how to answer questions. I agree with you, it's kind of shocking, but it's literally happening in every state. They wake up and they're just like, what's cannabis? Where are we? Just jump on and give things a read, and there's people out there that, hey, my job is to answer your questions. You can bring me on, and they'll also be helping out the industry and moving money around to people that have experience and can help them and short circuit the problems that inevitably come up when we already know things that really work.
And I'm not speaking in defense of cannabis regulators. They do have, I don't know how big it is or how well organized, they do have like an association of cannabis regulators.
They have a meetup.
No, it's not a meetup.
No, they do a meetup.
Really?
Yes.
Like here, like at the chandelier room. But if they're meeting at the chandelier room, it's not going to help.
No, I feel like this year it was in Arizona.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
Maybe where there was actually like a bunch of regulators all
golfing in Lake Havasu. That makes sense.
Lake Havasu. Well, they have to go to a legal market, so yeah. You said a market that I'd actually never heard of. I mean, I've heard of the place, but I've never heard of someone being active in. Did you say West Virginia? Yeah.
I think there's like 52 stores.
Okay.
It's medical only. You're not allowed to sell pre-rolls or anything that you can smoke.
What do people buy?
Flower.
So you buy flower, but not pre-rolls.
Yeah.
It's a weird distinction.
Yeah. It's the regulators again. They don't know what they're doing with it.
They had too good a time at Lake Havasu.
And so bagged flower and vapes.
Okay.
It's like that's the market.
Yeah.
Dab jars, so rosins are really popular.
So you can get rosin, but not a pre-roll.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really doing some deep thinking there.
Yeah.
That's a commitment.
That must be good. I mean, let me ask you a question. Like those type of constraints.
Yeah.
Both size, but also product-wise. Is that good for your business?
Oh, it's amazing. If they only bought rosin, and you were very quick and good and had rosin dialed, great for you. You're going to take a huge portion of the market. They're laying out things that we're super good at, and pre-rolls is because cultivation is required and we're asset light. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Don't sell pre-rolls. Sell vape carts.
Right.
And we take everybody's flower, turn it into a finished good, and out it goes, and it doesn't expire.
It's like they've rolled out the red carpet. For
Heritage. They called me and asked what they should do.
Do away with pre-rolls.
Yeah, I was like, don't even sell flower, just vape carts.
Right, vape carts.
Yeah.
A market only full of vape carts would be good. That would be good for you. You've been in the game a while.
Yeah.
And thinking about the show so far, where it's been today and tomorrow, like, what are you thinking are some trends that you're going to bring back from the show that, like, we're going to have to incorporate some of this thinking into Heritage? Yeah,
so I think you're seeing Nick box vape carts. They're going to blow up. You've got
like an Elf bar?
Yeah, like the Elf bar, like all the Nick style all-in-one pods, because like people are clamoring for innovation. The same 510 vape cart over and over again with a different color and a different logo. Somebody comes out with literally anything else, and everyone is going to rush to the doors to try this new thing, and everyone's always looking for a leg up. So I think those are going to really pick up pace because they're different, and you can have so many different shapes and styles and variations. So I think that's my pick right now for probably going to be the most money spent, and I think good on the manufacturers, because vape carts are now below $2 a unit. These things are like $4 a unit, so they're getting money back in their jeans on this, bringing out cannabis vapes that look like Nick vapes, and then outside of that, I think that you're just going to start, I think, seeing more retail aggregation and large retail. I think in Ontario, I just saw this morning, they're going to approve up to 150 stores can be owned by one group now.
Seriously.
Because they're having to cater to the groups that are going to be able to fund this stuff. And so just as we see in States and in Canada as a whole, just constant aggregation of assets and funds to be able to support the industry while everyone puts in their 2 cents on how to grow it.
Mm-hmm. I didn't see that this morning.
Yeah, I was just actually about 3.5 seconds ago.
We'll have to put that.
We'll put it in the newsletter. But what is it now? Something way less than that. It's like 25? Is it?
No.
I don't even I can't even remember. Okay. It's very, very low.
150 is a lot, though. Like, there's only...
Yeah, it's basically they've just decided that it's going to be owned by 3, 4, 5 people, and the more you have with the taxation the way that it is, the better chance you have at surviving and paying that tax, and obviously keeping the blood flowing in the ecosystem there. So
I was actually just wondering what it's going to mean for the ground floor of real estate in my neighborhood.
Yeah,
if 3 of them are owned by the same people, like, there's going to be some storefronts open up in our neighborhood that can.
Yeah, and I think they're also very reactive, right? So they must be under pressure because people are wanting to buy stuff and people are wanting to sell stuff, and they're literally limiting the ability for people to financially survive or financially flourish because they've got this thing stuck in the middle.
Which is arbitrary anyway.
And if they're not willing to fund the guys that are wanting to sell and keep them alive, well, then they're putting people at risk. So I think they're removing the risk.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Because if it's... I don't know anything. Krista and Jeremy, the people that know stuff here. But like, if you're dealing with way fewer owners in Ontario that account for more stores, with fewer buyers, that could be very good.
Could be very good. It could end companies.
Yes.
It depends how many friends you have. Yeah. It becomes a friendship game. Yeah. Like, do you have solid relationships with these chains? No. Sayonara. Yeah. Because you can't force product into their stores. Right. And that's where I've always said I love the Canadian market, because you kind of always can survive because it's owned by so many people at the retail level. And you can sell through one sheet of paper and everybody gets the same sheet, and you're marketing that sheet and you're like, find me on the sheet, buy my stuff. It's very, very controlled. Whereas like in New York, when we landed a new dispensary today, and it's like, oh my God, this is amazing, one new store, because that took forever. We had to meet the person, give them all the information, have multiple meetings just for one store.
I don't think people in Canada necessarily always appreciate how the way that the industry has been formatted actually makes operating way easier if you're a retailer or as a brand. I think it has its own constrictions for sure. But when you get into states where you have to manage relationships with all of these individual accounts, as well as those individual accounts don't look the same, wholesale costs might not be the same, product availability might not be the same.
Just getting paid.
Getting paid on terms might not be the same. And so then all of a sudden you've built this level of complexity in operating that doesn't show up in the Canadian
You've got under 20 customers in Canada on a recreational distribution level. And in small states in the U.S., you've got 200 plus. Right. And it's obviously a lot more work.
Yeah. David, I appreciate your insight. You're the only person that's spoken about West Virginia that I've ever
You didn't even know it existed.
So I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm not going to share any of the information. I'm going to tell people it's only a pre-roll market, and so they might as well stay out.
Yeah, stay out of there.
Stay out of it. David's got it covered. But thank you so much for spending time, sharing your expertise. And dropping knowledge.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. We are at Planet 13 for Cultivated Live. I'm Jay. This is Jeremy and Krista. We will be right back, I think, with Brad Spearson from Grown In, who's going to tell us about Grown In, of course, but Chicago, Illinois, some other states in the Midwest and what they're up to. So we'll be right back with Brad Spearson.